The unexpected arrival. The proximity alerts at Sanctuary Station blared to life at the worst possible moment, right as Dr. Kira Patel was trying to convince a particularly stubborn stellar drake to take its medicine. The massive creature, all iridescent scales and plasma-charged wings, huffed a cloud of sparkles in her face and turned away. "Come on, big guy," Kira coaxed, holding up the medicine-laced treat. "Just one bite and—" Dr. Patel. The station's AI cut through her concentration. "Priority alert. Incoming vessel, no, correction. Incoming entity. Biosignature matches Void Leviathan classification." Kira froze. In 15 years of xenoveterinary medicine, she'd never encountered a Void Leviathan. Few had. The mysterious creatures were living legends, ancient beings that swam through the dark spaces between stars, their bodies composed of swirling void energy and stardust. Additional biosignatures detected, the AI continued. 1 adult, 3 juvenile. The adult shows severe energy fluctuations consistent with injury. "Alert Medical Bay 1, Kira ordered, already running. Get Dr. Reza and his team prepped for void energy trauma. And someone please finish giving Sebastian his medicine." The observation deck was chaos when she arrived. Alien diplomats and scientists crowded the windows, their various appendages gesturing wildly at the approaching shapes in space. Even through the station's filters, the Void Leviathan family was breathtaking. The mother was enormous, easily the size of a small cruiser. Her body rippled with streams of purple and blue energy, like rivers of stars flowing through living darkness. But Kira's trained eye caught the disruption in those patterns, angry red tears in the void energy field that made up her form. Behind her swam 3 smaller shapes, each about the size of a shuttle. The juveniles stayed close to their mother, their own energy patterns flickering with what Kira recognized as distress. "Impossible," muttered Ambassador Zixtal, their crystalline form vibrating with anxiety. "Void Leviathans never approach inhabited spaces. They're apex predators of the deep void. They don't seek help." "First time for everything," Kira replied, already running calculations in her head. "We need to get them into the large containment sphere. It's the only space big enough." Dr. Patel, Zixtal's voice carried that special tone reserved for humans doing supposedly crazy things. "These creatures devour starships. They're living natural disasters. We can't just—" "They're injured, scared, and trust us enough to ask for help," Kira cut in. "That's all I need to know. Dr. Reza. Is Medical Bay 1 ready?" Dr. Naveen Reza, the station's chief of xenomedicine, jogged up. His dark eyes were bright with the same excitement Kira felt. "Bay's prepped. We've modified the containment field to accommodate void energy physiology. But Kira, we've never treated anything like this. The readings we're getting." "Then we'll write the manual as we go," Kira said, checking her medical kit. "What we do know is they're energy beings. The injury patterns suggest some kind of void energy disruption." "Weapons fire," came a new voice. Director Jean Song stepped onto the deck, her usual calm presence somehow both soothing and energizing. "Long-range scans show residual signatures consistent with illegal void-piercing weapons. Looks like our patients had a run-in with poachers." Kira's jaw tightened. Void-piercing weapons were banned throughout known space, specifically because they could harm beings like Void Leviathans. The fact that poachers were targeting these magnificent creatures. A low resonance thrummed through the station, felt more than heard. The mother Leviathan had reached the outer docking area. Up close, the damage was worse than Kira had feared. The tears in her energy field were spreading. "Opening containment sphere," the AI announced. "Warning, void energy levels exceeding normal parameters." The massive doors of the containment sphere yawned open, revealing a space designed to hold the largest known space-dwelling creatures. The mother Leviathan paused, her swirling form rippling with what Kira read as uncertainty. That's when Kira did something that made Ambassador Zixtal emit a high-pitched squeal of horror. She stepped into the airlock connecting to the containment sphere. Dr. Patel. Zixtal's crystals were practically vibrating. What are you doing? Making first contact, Kira replied, checking her void suit seals. They came to us for help. The least we can do is give them a proper welcome. As the airlock cycled, Kira activated her suit's void energy shields, a precaution, though somehow she felt it wouldn't be necessary. The mother Leviathan watched her approach, multiple points of light that served as eyes tracking her movement. Kira activated her suit's resonance transmitter and sent out a simple pattern, the universal signal for medical assistance used throughout known space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, to everyone's amazement, the Leviathan responded. Not with the same pattern, but with a complex harmony of void energy pulses that made Kira's suit's sensors light up like a festival. She's communicating, Kira breathed, recording everything. Dr. Reza, are you seeing this? It's not just random energy patterns. There's structure, rhythm. We're seeing it, Reza confirmed over the comm, Kira. I think she's giving us a medical history. The mother Leviathan moved forward slowly, her massive form graceful despite her injuries. Behind her, the juveniles followed, their energy patterns shifting from distress to something closer to curiosity. Welcome to Sanctuary Station, Kira said, broadcasting both verbally and through resonance patterns. We're going to help you. All of you. The mother Leviathan's response was another complex series of energy pulses, but her meaning was clear as she guided her children into the containment sphere, trust, hope, and something that made Kira's heart ache, gratitude. Well, Director Jean said over the comm, a smile in her voice, it seems Sanctuary Station just made history. Again. Send a message to the Xenobiology Council, Kira replied, watching the families settle into the sphere. Tell them we're going to need a lot more void energy monitors. Something tells me this is just the beginning. The juveniles were already exploring their new space, their energy patterns brightening with interest. The mother watched them, then turned her gaze back to Kira. In that moment, despite all the differences between them, Kira felt a connection that transcended species, one mother trusting another being with the safety of her children. Don't worry, Kira whispered, though she knew the Leviathan couldn't hear her voice through the void. You came to the right place. We'll make sure your family stays together. Behind her, she could hear Ambassador Zixtal still sputtering about protocols and danger assessments. But Kira knew, just as humans had always known, that sometimes the most dangerous things in the universe just needed someone brave enough to show them kindness. The mother Leviathan's energy field pulsed once more, a pattern that the station's AI would later translate as something close to, the stars themselves speak of your kind's compassion. We have traveled far to find it. Kira smiled. It was going to be a very interesting day at Sanctuary Station. Trust in small steps. Dar. Kira Patel's world had shrunk to the size of a datapad screen, where void energy patterns danced like living constellations. 3 days had passed since the Leviathan family's arrival, and each moment revealed new wonders about their patience. Look at this resonance pattern, she murmured to Dr. Reza, who was monitoring the mother Leviathan's healing progress. It's not random at all. There's a mathematical progression here that rivals quantum computing. They're not just intelligent, Reza replied, his dark eyes reflecting the swirling patterns. They're brilliant. Those energy signatures we thought were pain responses. They're actually complex equations. She's been calculating her own treatment protocols. The mother Leviathan, whom they'd started calling Stella, after her star-like energy patterns, floated serenely in the containment sphere. The tears in her void energy field were slowly stabilizing thanks to the experimental treatment they'd developed together. Yes, together, because it turned out their patient was as much a scientist as they were. Watch this, Kira said, entering a new resonance sequence into the sphere's field generators. It was a mathematical query about void energy cohesion she'd been puzzling over. Stella's response came immediately, a cascade of energy patterns that expanded on Kira's question in ways that made her gasp. She just revolutionized our understanding of void physics, didn't she? Reza asked, already furiously taking notes. Again, Kira grinned. That's the third time today. But look at her juveniles. The three younger Leviathans had become the station's most fascinating research subjects. Unlike their mother's complex mathematical communications, they broadcast simpler patterns, curiosity, playfulness, and an almost childlike desire to learn. Crisis point. The crisis struck without warning. One moment Stella was demonstrating a particularly complex void energy manipulation to her children, the next, her energy field flickered violently, patterns dissolving into chaos. Multiple field ruptures. The AI's warning klaxons filled the station. Void energy containment at risk. Emergency protocols initiating. No. Kira shouted, rushing to the control panel. Don't activate the containment protocols, you'll separate her from her children. She turned to Dr. Reza. What happened? She was stable. Reza's fingers flew across the diagnostic screens. The weapon damage, it was worse than we thought. The void energy isn't just torn, it's unraveling. Like a cascade failure in a quantum field. Through the observation window, they watched in horror as Stella's magnificent form began to fragment. The juvenile Leviathans circled their mother in obvious distress, their own energy patterns becoming erratic. Her core temperature is dropping, Jamie reported, voice tight with worry. We're losing her. Director Jin's voice cut through the chaos. Options, people. Give me options. Kira's mind raced. Everything they knew about void energy, everything Stella had taught them, there had to be a solution. She watched as Nova pressed close to its mother, trying to share its own energy. That's when it hit her. The juveniles, she breathed. They're not just sharing energy, they're trying to stabilize her pattern. Reza, remember how they create those energy constructs? They're natural void energy manipulators. Understanding dawned on Reza's face. But they're too young to generate enough power on their own. They'd need a catalyst, Kira finished. She was already moving toward the airlock, pulling on her void suit. And I think I know how to give them one. Dr. Patel, Director Jin's voice held a warning. Whatever you're planning. We'll probably violate about 50 safety protocols, Kira acknowledged, checking her suit's seals. But right now, that family is our only chance at understanding void energy physics, and more importantly, they trust us. I'm not letting them down. The containment sphere's interior was chaos. Stella's energy field writhed with patterns of agony, while her children's attempts to help grew increasingly desperate. Kira activated her suit's void energy shields at maximum power. Jamie, reroute all available power to my suit's resonance generators. Reza, I need you to monitor the energy transfer patterns. If we can amplify what the juveniles are doing. The suit wasn't designed for this kind of power, Jamie protested. It could overload. Then we'd better work fast, Kira replied. She opened her comm to all channels. Storm, Aurora, Nova, I know you can understand me. I'm going to help you help your mother. The juvenile Leviathans responded immediately, their energy patterns shifting to match her suit's resonance. Kira felt the void energy begin to flow through her suit's systems, far more powerful than anything they'd measured before. Energy levels at 200% of maximum. Jamie's voice crackled with static. Suit integrity failing. But Kira barely heard him. She was lost in the flow of void energy, feeling rather than seeing how the juveniles were trying to repair their mother's energy field. It was like watching master artists at work, each one instinctively knowing their part in a greater whole. The patterns, she gasped through gritted teeth. They're not just random. They're like DNA, but for void energy. Reza, are you seeing this? Recording everything, he confirmed. But Kira, your suit can't take much more. She ignored the warning sirens, focused entirely on directing power to the juvenile leviathans. Through her suit's sensors, she could feel Stella's energy field beginning to stabilize, the terrible tears slowly knitting themselves closed. That's when everything went wrong. A power surge ripped through her suit's systems, blowing out the resonance generators. Kira felt herself flying backward, then stopping abruptly as something caught her, a tendril of void energy, gentle despite its enormous power. Stella had caught her. Through failing suit sensors, Kira watched in amazement as the mother Leviathan held her suspended, while the juveniles completed their work. The void energy patterns were beautiful beyond description, mathematics and art and life all flowing together in perfect harmony. Energy field stabilizing, the AI announced. Void energy patterns returning to normal parameters. Stella carefully deposited Kira back on the sphere's observation platform. Through the damaged suit sensors, Kira felt one last pulse of energy, not mathematics this time, but pure emotion, gratitude, affection, and something that felt remarkably like laughter. When the airlock cycled open, she found herself facing a very worried Director Jean. That, the director said, was either the bravest or most foolish thing I've ever seen. Probably both, Kira admitted, trying to stand despite shaking legs. But it worked. And more importantly, she gestured to where the Leviathan family was now swimming peaceful patterns through the sphere, their energy fields bright and stable. We learned something amazing. Besides the fact that humans will apparently risk void energy exposure to save space monsters. This from Ambassador Zixtal, who had apparently been watching the whole thing. We learned that void leviathans aren't just intelligent, Kira said, watching Nova create a perfect miniature replica of her damaged suit, complete with warning lights. They're family. They understand love and sacrifice and healing. And now they know we do too. Director Jean looked thoughtful. The council won't like this. Void leviathans were easier to deal with when everyone thought they were just mindless predators. Then maybe it's time for everyone to learn what we have, Kira replied. That the most remarkable discoveries happen when we stop letting fear blind us to possibilities. Storm and Aurora had joined their sibling in creating void energy constructs, this time reproducing the entire dramatic scene they just witnessed. Stella watched her children with obvious pride, occasionally adding her own artistic flourishes to their creation. Besides, Kira added with a tired smile, I think our artists there are going to make sure their story gets told. As if in agreement, all four Leviathans pulsed their energy fields in perfect harmony, creating a display that made every instrument on the station light up like a festival. It was beautiful, mathematical, and utterly alien, yet somehow perfectly understandable. It was, Kira realized, exactly what they'd been looking for all along, proof that in the vast darkness between stars, love and understanding could bridge any distance, heal any wound, and bring light to even the darkest void. Bridges between stars. News travels fast in space, even faster when it involves void leviathans learning art. Within weeks of Stella's recovery, Sanctuary Station had become the unlikely center of a scientific and cultural revolution. Another contact request, the AI announced, its tone somehow managing to convey both amusement and exhaustion. 2 adult void leviathans, approaching from Sector 7. Energy signatures indicate non-emergency status. Kira looked up from her latest research compilation, a joint work between human scientists and void leviathan mathematicians, with Stella as lead author. They're just coming to visit. It appears so, Director Jean confirmed, reviewing the long-range scans. Our guests have been spreading the word. Sanctuary Station is apparently becoming quite famous among void-dwelling species. The evidence was all around them. The station had been expanded to include 3 more containment spheres, each designed with input from Stella herself. The original sphere had become something of a community center, where void leviathans would gather to share their mathematical artistic performances with fascinated scientists. Dr. Patel, Jamie called from his monitoring station. You might want to see this. Nova's teaching the newcomers' children that maintenance drone trick. Through the observation window, they watched as Nova, now nearly twice its original size but still the station's unofficial mascot, demonstrated the intricate void energy manipulations needed to create perfect replicas of station equipment. The new juvenile leviathans watched in rapt attention, their energy patterns bright with excitement. They're not just sharing techniques, Dr. Reza observed, monitoring the energy patterns. Look at these resonance frequencies. They're teaching each other their family histories, cultural knowledge. We're witnessing the formation of the first documented void leviathan school. Kira felt her heart swell with pride. In the weeks since their crisis, Nova and its siblings had grown not just in size but in confidence. They'd become ambassadors of sorts, helping newly arrived leviathans adjust to interacting with the station. Message from the Galactic Council, Director Jean announced, reading from her datapad. They've officially recognized void leviathans as a sapient species with full rights and protections. The poaching sanctions have been upgraded to maximum severity. About time, Kira muttered, watching as Stella conducted what they now knew was a historical lecture, her void energy patterns telling stories of ancient star paths and the birth of galaxies. Though I doubt anyone's stupid enough to attack them now that we know they can do that. She gestured to where Aurora was demonstrating one of their newest discoveries, the ability to create temporary wormholes through void energy manipulation. It was perfectly safe, thoroughly contained, and completely revolutionary for the field of physics. 3 major universities have requested permanent research outposts, Jamie reported. And the Interstellar Medical Academy wants to establish a dedicated xenobiology program here. Approved, Director Jean said. But they'll have to go through the same screening process as everyone else. Our residents are patients and teachers, not research subjects. As if to emphasize this point, Storm chose that moment to create a void energy display of the station's first contact protocols, complete with mathematical annotations about proper diplomatic etiquette. The younger Leviathans watched attentively, their energy patterns shifting as they learned. Message from Administrator Zixtal, the AI announced. They apologize for their initial skepticism and request permission to establish a permanent cultural exchange program. Kira couldn't help but laugh. From living natural disasters to cultural ambassadors in less than a month. Though I'm still not sure how to explain to the Xenoanthropology department that their new research subjects are teaching quantum physics through interpretive void energy dance. Speaking of teaching, Dr. Reza interjected, Stella wants to know if we're ready for today's advanced void mechanics lesson. She says this one will revolutionize our primitive understanding of dimensional boundaries. Tell her we're always ready to have our minds blown, Kira replied. Though maybe warn the engineering department this time. They're still trying to process last week's revelation about space-time geometry. Through the observation window, the gathered void leviathans began their lesson. Their combined void energy patterns created structures of impossible beauty and complexity, each one containing mathematical truths that would keep scientists busy for decades. Nova, ever the show-off, added its own artistic flourishes to the equations, little touches of color and movement that made the abstract concepts easier to grasp. The other juveniles quickly joined in, turning the lesson into a collaborative performance of science and art. You know, Director Jean said softly, watching the display, when we established this station, we thought we'd be providing sanctuary to dangerous creatures that needed protection. We never imagined that they'd end up protecting us. Kira finished. Teaching us. Showing us that the universe is bigger and more wonderful than we ever dreamed. A new alert sounded, another void leviathan family requesting contact. In the containment sphere, Stella's lesson paused as she and her children prepared to welcome more of their kind to this new community they'd built together. The universe, Kira mused, watching as void energy patterns dance between stars, turns out to be full of surprise. We just had to be brave enough to look for them. The lesson resumed, its patterns now incorporating the story of how a wounded mother's trust had built a bridge between species. In the space between stars, ancient predators and human scientists continued their dance of discovery, each step bringing their worlds closer together. And in the heart of it all, Nova created a perfect replica of that first meeting, a reminder that sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from fear or force, but from a simple willingness to help, to learn, and to believe in possibilities. Legacy of Compassion. 1 year after Stella's arrival, Sanctuary Station had become something its founders could never have imagined, a thriving intersection of species, science, and storytelling. The observation deck, once a simple viewing area, now housed what the residents called the Starlight Academy. And this, Kira explained to a group of wide-eyed xenobiology students, is how we learned that void leviathans don't just swim through space, they weave it. Above them, Nova, now fully grown but still the station's most enthusiastic teacher, demonstrated the complex energy patterns that allowed its kind to navigate the cosmos. The students watched in awe as void energy formed into maps of star systems and galactic clusters, each one annotated with mathematical formulae that merged physics with poetry. Dr. Patel, one of the students, raised a tentacle. Is it true that you were the first to almost get herself atomized trying to save a family of space monsters? Director Jean interrupted, entering with an amused smile. Our Dr. Patel has a gift for understatement when telling that story. Fortunately, our residents are more than happy to share their version. On cue, Storm and Aurora began a now famous void energy performance, the tale of their family's arrival and healing, rendered in living light and mathematics. Over the past year, their artistic skills had evolved into something beyond simple storytelling. Each performance added new layers of understanding about void physics, spatial geometry, and the deep connections between all living things. Message from the Galactic University Consortium, the AI announced. The joint research papers on void energy manipulation have been accepted for publication. All authors, including our resident mathematicians, will receive full academic recognition. Kira smiled, watching as Stella added her own flourishes to her children's performance, little details about the humans who had helped them, each one captured with surprising accuracy in void energy constructs. The Mother Leviathan had become one of the station's most respected teachers, her insights revolutionizing multiple fields of study. Speaking of recognition, Director Jean continued, the Council has officially approved our expansion plans. 3 new stations, all based on Stella's designs, will be constructed at key points along the void energy currents. More importantly, Kira added, there'll be joint ventures, human and Leviathan staff working together from day one. No more barriers, no more fear. Just collaboration and understanding. The students were taking notes frantically as Nova began demonstrating the principles behind void energy communication, a technique that had already transformed interstellar travel and communication. The young Leviathan had a particular talent for making complex concepts accessible, often using playful energy constructs to illustrate its points. Dr. Patel, Jamie called from his station, now significantly upgraded with void energy monitoring equipment, long-range sensors are picking up something interesting. It looks like, well, you should see for yourself. Kira moved to the console, and her breath caught. Approaching the station was the largest gathering of void leviathans ever recorded, dozens of them, their energy patterns forming a breathtaking symphony of light and mathematics. It's a migration, Stella explained through the station's translation matrix, her void energy patterns carrying undertones of joy and anticipation. The time of gathering approaches. We would be honored if you would witness it. The time of gathering, they had learned, was an ancient void leviathan tradition, a meeting of families to share knowledge, stories, and plot new paths through the cosmos. That they would choose to hold it near Sanctuary Station was an honor beyond measure. Alert the astronomy department, Director Jean ordered, her usual composure cracking slightly with excitement. And get every recording device we have online. This is history in the making. As the Leviathans approached, they began a performance unlike anything humans had ever witnessed. Void energy patterns wove together into a living tapestry of story and song, mathematics and memory, each family adding their own unique movements to the greater whole. They're not just sharing stories, Reza realized, watching the patterns unfold. They're sharing everything: star maps, void current predictions, historical records. This is their library, their university, their entire cultural archive. Nova and its siblings joined the performance, adding their own stories, tales of healing and friendship, of bridges built between species once separated by fear and misunderstanding. Through the void energy patterns, they shared the lesson that had started it all, that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is simply the courage to reach out with compassion. You know, Kira said softly to Director Jean, watching as human students and alien scientists alike stood mesmerized by the display, when I first came to Sanctuary Station, I thought I'd be helping dangerous creatures. I never imagined that they'd end up helping us more. Jean finished. That's the thing about compassion, Dr. Patel. It has a way of multiplying, of growing beyond our wildest expectations. Above them, the void leviathans continued their cosmic dance, their energy patterns telling stories that would be studied for generations. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth, that in the vast darkness between stars, love and understanding could build bridges across any distance, heal any wound, and light the way forward for all species. Next semester's classes are already full, Jamie reported, scrolling through his datapad. We've got applicants from every major species in known space. Of course they're full, Kira smiled, watching as Nova taught a group of young leviathans the same void energy techniques that had once saved their mother. After all, who wouldn't want to learn how to weave starlight and story together? The time of gathering continued, its patterns now incorporating the story of Sanctuary Station itself, a testament to what could happen when fear gave way to fascination, when creatures once called monsters became teachers, and when humans remembered their greatest strength, the ability to see past differences to the light within. And somewhere in the vast dance of void energy and starlight, the future was being written, not in words or numbers alone, but in the universal language of compassion, curiosity, and courage. Stella's final pattern of the day translated beautifully: from the depths of space, we found not just sanctuary, but home. And in the hearts of those once called prey, we found the greatest power in the universe, the power to see beauty in the unknown.